Hello, my name is William Hathaway and I'm a fourth-generation activist promoting denuclearization. In February 2016, I posted my first activist YouTube video to promote the elimination of nuclear weapons. The purpose and intent of my speech today is to further the cause of global denuclearization efforts. In other words, my goal is for all of us to survive the nuclear age. Look at what is happening in the world today. Conflicts between nuclear weapon states continue to escalate. Transnational terrorist networks and domestic extremist groups are increasingly poised to actualize the use of nuclear weapons against the United States. The biggest hurdle to eliminating nuclear weapons is the lack of trust between nuclear weapon states. With lines being drawn in the Middle East between Christian and Muslim countries, as evidenced by the escalating war between Armenia and Azerbaijan, transnational terrorism is more likely to surface against the Western world. Once our nation faces a clash of civilizations, it may be too late to thwart the use of nuclear weapons. According to the Network Contagion Research Institute, 3 tactics characteristic of extremist online communities allowed extremists to become influential in recent years. 1. They use memes as propaganda. 2. They employ sophisticated communication networks for both planning and recruiting, make use of both fringe and private online forums. And 3, they organize militias and inspire lone wolf actors for violent action. In terrorism, asymmetric warfare, and weapons of mass destruction, Dr. Anthony Kortzman identified hundreds of domestic military groups in the United States that could coordinate operations with foreign entities to use nuclear weapons against the United States. According to the START Center for Terrorism Studies database, almost 3,000 domestic terrorist incidents have transpired since the 1970s. Recently, the political divide and economic instability produced a climate that is conducive to an uptick in domestic terrorism. Our nation's porous borders blur the lines between domestic and international terrorism. With foreign funding being allocated towards domestic terrorist group activities, domestic unrest will exacerbate the threat of escalating domestic terrorist activities. At what point this activity crosses into the use of weapons of mass destruction, or WMDs, to include nuclear weapons remains indeterminate. While the number of domestic military groups varies from one year to the next, the WMD threats identified by leading experts 20 years ago remain valid today, according to my father, Todd Hathaway, retired Army nuclear and counterproliferation officer with 6 master's degrees, including degrees in nuclear engineering, intelligence studies, and homeland security. In 2014, while assigned to the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, he outlined in a PowerPoint presentation entitled Maximizing Resilience During Periods of Geopolitical and Economic Instability, the threat posed by WMDs. In October 2020, he reiterated how the same dynamics between resource scarcity, geopolitical, and global economic instability increased the trend towards global chaos. The nexus of global chaos and transnational terrorism is expected to result in the use of WMDs. As global chaos escalates, terrorist conventional weapons caches could be upgraded to state-sponsored WMDs for use by terrorists. Once WMDs are used against the United States, outside intervention by a neutral third party may be needed to contain the conflict. How much longer do we have until nuclear weapons are used against us? Years? Months? Which city will be targeted first? Your city? My city? All of them? The only viable long-term solution is the eventual elimination of nuclear weapons. Once nuclear weapons are used in anger by a nation-state or through the transfer of nuclear weapons to transnational terrorist groups, the international community will demand an end to nuclear weapons. No one is truly safe until all the nuclear weapons are gone. So together, let's work with our neighbors, local politicians, members of Congress, volunteer with nonprofit organizations such as Global Zero to make nuclear weapons a thing of the past. We the people could do anything if we work together to make it happen.